Hi guys, it's Caitlin, and today I am here to talk to you about Remembrance by Meg Cabot, the 7th book in the Mediator series. The Mediator series follows a girl named Sue Simon who grew up in New York but moves when she's a sophomore in high school to California because her mother gets remarried and they move across the country to be with their new stepfamily. This move is kind of stressful to Sue for two reasons. The first is that she has just been enrolled in this private Catholic school that is on top of what is essentially a very violent area where a lot of people died. Sue is a mediator, meaning that she can see, speak to, and touch the ghosts of the deceased, and it's her job to get them to cross over. The second problem with moving is that her bedroom is haunted by a really hot ghost named Jessie. This series follows her on her adventures as she comes in contact with ghosts and has to figure out how to get them to cross over, either by physically beating them into submission or just, whatever it is that they need to find their peace so that they can move on. The series has a great cast of characters. Suze has a new stepfather, 3 new stepbrothers, a bunch of new classmates, and she meets 2 other mediators along the way. She didn't know other mediators were even a thing. Overall, this is a really fun YA series. I highly recommend it if you're interested in paranormal and supernatural YA. It's not a deep series of reads, but it's definitely a lot of fun. Jesse is the most swoon-worthy male character there is, even though he's dead. And overall, Suze is just so much fun. She's very sassy, she's very aggressive, and it's just great every once in a while to read a book about a girl who wears leather jackets and high-heeled boots, cares what her hair looks like, and will beat the crap out of you. Remembrance is the first book to come out in this series in almost, I want to say, a decade. It is the 7th book in the series and the first adult installation into the series. Overall, I gave the series in general 5 stars about each book because there is so much fun, there's just so much going on. There's not really any deeper meaning, but it's just a great, fast-paced read. And I gave Remembrance 4 stars because I really enjoyed it. It was great to be reunited with all these characters I'd fallen in love with in the previous books, but I did have some issues with it, which I can't really get into without getting into the spoilery section of this review. And now I'm going to get into the plot of the 7th book, so if you haven't read the series and you're interested, I'd go ahead and say to go and read them and then come back and we'll discuss it. Suze is 24 in Remembrance. After all the events that happened at the end of the final book, Suze is alive. She's engaged to Jesse. Jesse has managed to get into med school. He's graduating med school. He's a resident at a hospital. He is a doctor. He's just waiting to get verification on whether or not he's won this grant to open his own medical clinic. Suze wants to go into counseling, so she finds herself doing her practicum work at the same high school that she went to school with Father Dom overseeing everything, and things seem to be going really well because she knows that she and Jesse will get married as soon as she gets that grant and she can finish her practicum work. But then Suze receives an email from Paul Slater, you guys remember Paul, saying that he has purchased her old house, the one where Jesse was when he was a ghost, and he plans to tear it down. He also sends her information about an ancient Egyptian prophecy stating that if you put a ghost back into a human body and then tear down their final resting place, it will release a demon in that human's chest. So Suze finds herself on this kind of experience where she's trying to figure out how to save Jesse's soul, how to get control of the house without Jesse finding out and without doing everything that Paul wants her to do. On top of that, she discovers that there is a ghost in the school haunting a young girl, and this ghost is very afraid, very angry, and very violent, and very protective of the girl that she's haunting, to the point where if she thinks for a second that if you're trying to help this girl or hurt her, she will harm you. Overall, I really liked this story. I gave it 4 stars. I wanted to give it more, but there were a couple of problems I had with it. The first of which is that it had some of my least favorite tropes. One of my least favorite tropes that this book utilized was the constant political references. I felt like it kept making these statistical references and these political commentary that I really didn't feel was necessary. I especially didn't like the constant reference to Debbie being against vaccination. It kept being brought up that the triplets weren't vaccinated, and that was because Debbie was stupid, and that Suze had apparently made it her mission to get these girls vaccinated. I have no problem with vaccination. If I have kids, I'll vaccinate my kids. But at the same time, I didn't think it was necessary to the book. I didn't think it contributed anything to the plot, and it was just really irritating to keep having it brought up over and over again, like it really mattered to the story when it didn't. There were a couple of other references to political aspects that bothered me as well, but that was the main one that kind of just kept coming up, and I just wasn't digging it. My next pet peeve that it utilized is the stupid secret to keep the plot going. Suze is told by Paul that he is going to tear down her old house, and if this house is torn down, according to this prophecy, there is going to be a demon that erupts inside Jessie, and then he is going to kill her and everyone around her, unless she does what Paul wants, and Paul wants her to sleep with him. And instead of telling Jessie this so that he can have a choice in it, she's like, no, he really doesn't like Paul. He'll kick Paul's ass. I better not tell him. So she spends the entire book running around keeping secrets from Jessie, kind of going along with Paul. I felt like it could have been done without the stupid secret keeping. We are reintroduced to Kelly Prescott and Debbie Mancuso, who is now Debbie Ackerman because she married Brad, Suze's stepbrother. There has been absolutely no development in these characters. They're still very shallow, they're very idiotic, they have no manners, and they're very, very rude. And I was a little bit put off by that because I would have liked at least some character development, maybe even like the illusion of just being friendly or at least not being blatantly rude and disrespectful. Jesse wasn't in this book as much as I wanted him to be, and when he was there, for the most part, it was either these kind of steamy moments where Suze would just melt over him saying her name, or they were fighting, and I wanted a little less fighting and a little bit more of the fun and the banter that we got between them in the books, so that did bother me a little bit. But the things I enjoyed about this book were a lot hotter than that. I really enjoyed the plot overall. I loved how Suze took care of the issues that were keeping the little ghost Lucia there. I really liked discovering that the triplets are mediators as well, and discovering the truth about their parentage and how they got their mediator abilities. I really loved the plotline overall. I thought that it was really fast-paced. I liked the violence, I liked the action, and I liked that Suze was just as sassy and snarky and straight up as always. I like that she dove headfirst into this adventure searching for what that priest had done that contributed to Lucia staying around to haunt Becca. I liked that as soon as she revealed this information to Sister Ernestine encouraged her to pursue it. I liked that it didn't play up this whole, oh, well, Catholics need to cover for Catholics thing. There have been issues of corruption and cover-ups within the Catholic Church, but overall, that's not what it's about, and I really liked that it didn't try to make that what it was about, especially since they were making a lot of political statements in this book. I like that they didn't make that one a political statement. I really appreciated that. I just thought that all of it was just so much fun. I really liked the final run-in with the man who had molested Becca and who had killed Lucia to keep her quiet. I really liked how that ended, and I really liked how she resolved the issues with Paul, and I really liked Paul in this book. I really did. I think that's part of the reason that I was only able to give it 4 stars instead of a full 5 stars, is I probably would have given it 4.5 stars just based off of those issues that I was having with it, with the politics and the lack of, maturation of some of the characters and just some of my other issues I've had with it. But I had to knock off another half star because I have been Team Jessie the entire series before even Suze was Team Jessie. In this book, honestly, I was Team Paul. I know, that's terrible. I just wanted Suze and Paul to get together. I think it was because their banter was so good, and they were just constantly bouncing off each other, and they had so much in common, and we were just not really getting any good feelings or any really great interactions between Suze and Jessie, so I think that was a major contributing factor as far as that goes. I really did enjoy this book. I recommend it, especially if you have read the rest of the series and you're wondering if it was worth it to continue into the adult installation. I am really hoping that they will continue this with Suze being an adult and this isn't just like a one-off adult novel in this universe. I don't know, that's my hope, but yeah, like I said, highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know if you've read this series, what you thought of it. If you read this book, what you thought of it. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.